Greetings everybody and welcome to Madrid Ball. I hope you all are safe and sound. In this video, we will be discussing what the future holds for Fede Valverde and Martin Odegaard. We'll analyze how both the players can operate together on the same pitch at the same time. And finally, we'll also have our community members participate and let us know their views on the future of Real Madrid. So we have a lot to discuss and let's get started. Starting with Fede Valverde, we know how immensely talented the youngster is, and I don't know how the world rates Fede Valverde, but it's safe to say that we at Real Madrid appreciate what Fede Valverde brings to the table. He has a different thing about himself. He's not just a regular midfielder, and time and again we have seen Fede Valverde has shown that he has the big game personality. He can cope up with the pressure, deliver in massive games, and the physicality that he brings to the table, the dynamic runs, the pressing intensity, which is something that Real Madrid desperately need. These are the qualities that set Fede Valverde apart. And talking a bit about the previous season, we all were expecting the 2020-21 season to be the year where Valverde would really establish himself in the middle. Many of us saw that a situation would arise that the torch would be passed to Fede Valverde. He would be given more minutes, he would be a starter in the middle of the pitch, but what happened was that Fede Valverde had no amount of luck going in his favor. There were injuries, there were cases of COVID infections, and yes, every time we'd hope that now is the time for Valverde to shine, he would again pick up another knock, a muscular strain or a hamstring injury, and this was a recurring thing throughout the previous season. So what used to happen is that Valverde would play 2 or 3 games on the trot and eventually find himself on the sidelines, soothing one injury after another. So definitely Fede Valverde didn't have the kind of impact that he would have liked, and it's not that he was playing bad for Madrid. There were games where he was impactful. If you remember the El Clasico, we had Fede Valverde single-handedly going on that line-breaking sprint, and that pattern of play eventually set up Benzema for the goal. There was also the away game against Liverpool where he was played as a right back, and although it's not the position he favors, he did take his time to get a feel of the position in that match, but at the end of the night he was successful in carrying out the instructions of the manager. So Valverde, I would say, was decent. I did expect him to take over the right midfield spot, but he was unlucky with injuries. He never had a string of games which would give him some momentum, and finally Luka Modric playing like he was in his prime years. He was another challenge that Valverde had to overcome. So all these factors combined prevented Valverde from taking the step up which you all were hoping to see. But this season, we can be positive. We have Pointers with us now, and I am expecting him to make a significant difference, get the likes of Valverde, Eden Hazard absolutely fit and ready. We have already heard that Pointers has a specific fitness plan for Hazard, and you would assume that he would have something in store for Valverde and Carvajal as well. These players are immensely vital to the team, and their availability is of utmost importance. And now if we come to Martin Odegaard, he was another player in the team who received very few minutes under Zinedine Zidane, almost negligible at times, and to be honest, it was a bit surprising to see how Odegaard struggled to get any minutes in the first half of the season. We all were expecting that Odegaard, after his stint at Sociedad, would be used as someone who would give options to Zinedine Zidane. He would be used as someone who would bring that youthful energy to the side, but Odegaard failed to impress Zidane, which is even more surprising because it was Zidane himself who had asked Odegaard to terminate his loan with Sociedad and join Madrid for the season. So it was a bit baffling to see how the entire thing panned out, and we the fans, we all were excited to see how Odegaard would do. He was portrayed as a new signing during the gloomy days, and the kind of player that Odegaard is, you would expect him to play a bigger role. But things didn't work out for him. He went to Arsenal searching for minutes. He did have some good games which caught the eye of many supporters. He became an important part of the Arsenal midfield. The attacks used to go through him at times. He was the primary chance creator of his team. So I would say he was decent for Arsenal. However, I do think for Odegaard to thrive in Madrid, he needs to take another step up. He has to be more expressive with the ball, but the problem is he isn't going to have the ball all the time, because we know for a fact that there are good midfielders in the team who would like to have their share of possession. So surely it's going to be different for Arsenal. The way how every attack used to go through him in Arsenal, that scenario may not happen in Madrid, and this is where the player himself has to take responsibility of improving other aspects of his game. He can work on things like off-the-ball movement, popping up in dangerous spaces, maybe improve a bit on his defensive qualities, and finally, he has to learn to impose himself on the pitch. When you're playing with Modric and Kroos, who have done it all and won it all, it may be a bit difficult to really impose yourself in front of these maestros, but elite players do that, and if Odegaard wants to be considered as an elite midfielder, he has to first start acting like an elite player. So yes, Odegaard has a lot of skills. Ancelotti is a talented player, and that is the reason why Madrid have invested so much time in Odegaard. But now is the time we get the best out of him. He must produce the magic in the whites of Madrid, and if Carlo Ancelotti can give him his blessings, just like he did with James Rodriguez previously, we may just see Odegaard flourish with the Los Blancos. But coming to the agenda of the day, how can Odegaard and Valverde line up together? And I think there are a few combinations that Ancelotti can try. We know Odegaard likes playing the attacking midfield role, and Fede Valverde likes playing as a central midfielder. So one option is to set up in the 4-2-3-1. Valverde can form a part of the double pivot. His defensive qualities are good. From time to time, he will go forward on those line-breaking runs, and in front of him, we will see Martin Odegaard, who would be linking the midfield and attack. He would receive the ball from the likes of Valverde or Cruz or Modric, whoever Ancelotti fancies on the left, and definitely Odegaard has the vision to pick out the likes of Benzema, Asensio, and Vinicius, making the run in behind. And coming to the second formation, there can also be the case of using Odegaard and Valverde in a 4-4-2. Valverde can be a part of the central midfield with Casemiro. The two would bring a lot of power in the heart of the midfield. On the left, we can have Toni Kroos, and on the right, we can have Martin Odegaard. We know during his times at Sociedad, he was used in that position. He would be occupying those spaces on the right flank. He would be cutting in, creating space for himself, and from there he can either go for goal or provide a lob ball for Benzema lurking in the center. So those are the two formations where I think we may be seeing both Valverde and Odegaard operating in unison with each other. Carlo Ancelotti, we know, has the ability to get the best out of youngsters, and certainly if there is going to be any hope for Madrid this year, we need to see these youngsters step up the game and come to the rescue of Madrid. So those are my thoughts on the two young starlets, and now I would like the community members to join in and chip in with the thoughts. Firstly, I'd like to ask Mr. Oscar Montiel, what role do you see Fede Valverde playing in the upcoming season? Do you see him becoming a starter in the side? Please put forward your thoughts.
So you asked me if I think that Fede Valverde will have a chance to play or start in Madrid this season. And I think the answer is yes, and here's why. The veterans that Real Madrid have, like Toni Kroos and Luka Modric, are all in there, are, you know, on the plus side of 30. So those guys are close to winding down their careers. So there is no better way than to get these younger guys ready than giving them a chance to start and give them a future here at Madrid, because they need to start that transition now, because the veterans like Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, and Casemiro are getting older.
Alright, thank you Mr. Montiel, and secondly, I'd like to ask Mr. RAFSAN, what is your assessment of Fede Valverde?
Okay, so Fede Valverde. Position-wise, Fede Valverde is a box-to-box midfielder, and to me, he is the ideal successor of Luka Modric. Luka Modric is now 35, and although he is a very classical player, we all know that he is really aged. In the near future, I think Fede Valverde is also a bit ahead of Martin Odegaard, as we have seen in the last two seasons. In this season, he had been really amazing, and both physically and mentally. Physically, he had been one of the fresh bloods in the midfield of Real Madrid, and mentally, he is also amazing. I particularly loved his game against Liverpool in the second leg of the UCL, and that's why I will give him a 9.5 out of 10. Just to emphasize the mental aspect of the game that he brought in to the Real Madrid midfield. I'm very keen to look forward towards the game he brings in the next season with the midfield trio of Casemiro, Cruz, as well as Martin Odegaard, who is coming back in the next season. And also, we cannot forget David Alaba. I think he can be a very nice addition and help Casemiro. The Real Madrid midfield is going to boom. And above all, I think we'll see some really good football, particularly from the Castilla young holders in the next season. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. RAFSAN, that is a very good point. We will see the Casilla boys getting involved as well, and they will have a major role to play this season. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts over here, and now it's your time, Madridistas, to let me know what are your thoughts on Fede Valverde and Martin Odegaard. Do you see the two starting for Madrid? Right in the comments below. I'll see you soon. Till then, take care, glory to Madrid, and as always, a la Madrid!